This holiday season, if you're a caregiver or a nurse, we see you and we understand that the holidays carry a lot of weight and it's hard. We don't get to turn off our brains or our duties or responsibilities during the holiday season, and it can be very weighty and can feel very lonely in this time of year where it's supposed to be filled with joy and all the happy things.
Yeah, we talked about last episode about the perfect holiday and what that looks like. And it's difficult for each of us as we're on the path of, especially caregivers, nurses. You deal with a lot of loss at work,
Mhm.
a lot of people that you care about. You'll actually communicate that Mr. So and so or Miss So and so may have passed this week. And then on top of that, we have personal family members that are going through seasons of sickness and
Mhm.
loss. And it's very difficult. And the holidays don't necessarily create pain, but it definitely does activate the pressures that come along with the season. And as a caregiver or someone that's going through a season of loss with their family or with sickness, it can be very difficult. It's very difficult to have an outlook of this season is a time of joy when it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't. And when you have illness and you in the family, you have loved ones that are going through something that's really hard, it makes the season feel very, very differently. And we're walking through that on both sides of our family right now
Absolutely.
with some illness and some unexpected things that have kind of made this season way different for us. And what is going to be expected throughout the season is going to be a little bit different for us and for our kids and our grandkids and our loved ones. That's a real thing. And I think we've gotten so far away from what the holidays truly are supposed to mean that it's become very um, tangible. It's about what we're getting and our gifts and how much we're spending. And instead of, you can slow down and say, because you're facing this, you're like, wow, getting to sit in the room together and watch a movie and drink hot chocolate and make cookies is a phenomenal event because we're spending time and we're making memories,
Right.
and it's not all about what's under the tree.
And that's a tough, that's a, we could say that, and it's still a very tough transition
For sure.
because expectations are there. And that's where frustration comes in. It comes in with the way that you interact with other people, the way that you interact with holiday plans and family, and you
Mm-hmm.
may not be able to show up the way that you had in the past with gift giving or
Holiday trips.
yeah, our plans and parties, all those things that may have been a part of your normal routine.
Mm-hmm.
When a difficult season comes, it doesn't take a break during the holidays and
Mm-mm.
say, hey, you get this time off.
Right.
Because when we're in school, you know, school was hard, you were finishing up, and then you knew Christmas break was coming, and you just got to go home and forget that you were even in school.
Right.
You get this long, even the Christmas carols are talking about mom and dad can't wait for school to start again. That's the truth because you got into that mindset. And so that creates almost a pathway of your expectations
Mm-hmm.
of how Christmas is supposed to be.
Right.
And as an adult, you're like, oh, we all don't get off for 3 weeks during Christmas.
No.
And there's some people that they may have that mechanism built in their career. That's
That
wonderful.
is wonderful. That
And the
is.
reality is, especially in your role, like as a caregiver and nurse,
Yeah, people don't stop being sick. The
correct. And
hospital is still full.
you don't take, you don't get to say, hey, everybody at the hospital, everybody at the nursing home,
Go home.
yeah, we want Christmas and Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas and
Yeah.
Christmas through. A
New
lot of
Year's.
places will have to put out restricted dates that
Yeah.
no
From
one can take.
Thanksgiving through New
Yeah,
Year's, no one gets
no one
off.
can
Like, you
take
have to take your
off.
shifts.
You have to take your shifts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's tough. And
It is.
then it on top of that, if you add sickness or illness,
Unexpected.
unexpected, you have responsibilities, you have
Mm-hmm.
increase in cost of living. All those things start to pile up.
And we all say
And instead
every
of
year,
presents under the tree, it's nothing but pressure under the tree.
and every year I'm like, I'm gonna start buying Christmas in March. I'm gonna start like getting little things and putting them. It never happens. It
Right.
always, before you realize it, it's, oh, wait a minute, Christmas is in 2 weeks. Did we get anything yet? Have
Yeah.
we prepared at all? And so then the pressure becomes unbelievable. And with just that illness and that uncertainty, it becomes very unsure. It's a lot of shaky ground. How are things going to go, and how is the person going to recover, and how do we support them, and what does that look like? So that's from like the family side of things. But for nurses and caregivers, this is your everyday.
Right.
This is
Because
your job.
you're
This is what you
constantly
do.
you're constantly having to assess,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't get to turn off during the holidays.
No.
As a caregiver and someone who may be going through a season with a loved one who is sick or
Mm-hmm.
suffering, you're always assessing,
Mm-hmm.
what are the risks, what is happening,
Mm-hmm.
what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be great if for the holidays you could turn that off. You
Take a
could
break.
take a break from it. And the reality is you really don't get to take a break from it.
You don't.
So that is very difficult for people. And it's okay
Mm-hmm.
to recognize that. It's okay to talk about it, to find support through it.
There are, and one of the big things is just to really let people, it's okay. It's okay to take respite. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to breathe and take a break.
It's okay to pull back on holiday
It's
plans.
okay to it can be a small. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, scale it back, give yourself some grace, and allow yourself some time to breathe and be present. We all have loved ones that are sick, or we know loved ones that are taking care of people that are sick.
And when they're in that space, their nervous system is always on alert.
Always.
And it's not even that it's just anxiety. It's actually your body's setting off alarms
Yes.
constantly,
Yes.
giving you, and it's really care. It's a level of care, but you have to know you're not infinite, you're finite.
Right.
And that will actually, if you add on Christmas parties
Yes.
and church services and special gatherings
Mm-hmm.
and added gifts and on and on and on the list goes. And those are all great and wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
but they can become overwhelming and they can drain our battery even quicker, to where instead of being able to care at a level that we can take care of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
take care of our loved one, we don't have anything left. And we shouldn't feel guilty. We shouldn't feel guilty if we can't show up to a party or a gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. It's tough not to be able to go. It's tough not to be included. It's tough not to get that invitation because something changed. That's really, really difficult.
It
And
is.
it's okay to talk about it and acknowledge and express, so that you can find some healing in that, and you can find some hope in that, and you can find an an ability to um, be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not transparent and you feel like I can do it all, we talked to a family member and they had to literally like, okay, this during this time I have to get more comfortable with receiving from other people some help,
Yeah.
rather than always being the one who's giving.
Giving the help.
Yeah, and that's difficult. That's very difficult. But your body is on constant alert,
Mm-hmm.
and it's care, and you have to know that that's still, even though you're doing a really admirable thing,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to be aware that you are a creature of limitation.
Yes.
And
Rest is important. Rest is important. Asking for help is important. Giving yourself space to be able to breathe and shop and participate in some things. There are so many agencies out there that allow respite care, that you can have someone come and sit for just a few hours with loved ones that cannot leave the home or cannot get out.
right,
For nurses, I would just encourage you to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Don't try to burn the candle at both ends. I know that. I'm fixing to work 6 12s back to back for the next 6 days. because we were out of town with a family member,
Right.
right? So now we have to play catch up. So we're doing that in our break from school. But in that, I know that come Monday, I'm going to need to rest, and
Yeah.
Tuesday, I'm going to need to recoup. It's not going to be continuing on. You have to give yourself enough space to be able to rest so that you can enjoy the time that you have with your family for
Right.
holidays. And learning how to leave work at work is very important.
It's very difficult.
It is very
It's
difficult.
not
We
easy.
become very attached to our patients. Um, when someone passes away or someone is sick or someone's having a really hard time, it's very hard to disconnect and not carry that home with you. You almost need. I
A
used to
severance.
ride home. Yes, I used to ride home
For
from
those of
work.
you that don't know.
The show where you
Strange,
totally
strange.
a
Yeah.
very strange show,
But what an interesting concept,
right?
right?
That
Like
you could literally leave your work
my
person
work
at
person
work.
is at work,
Yeah,
and then my out of work at home
your
person is
Audi is a
yeah, is
whole
a
different
completely
person.
different person.
Yeah.
What a strange concept, and it there is some anxiety around that
Oh,
because
for sure.
we identify with what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We find meaning in what we do, and there is something to be said about that.
For
And at the
sure.
same time, for you to be able to get some quality rest
Mm-hmm.
and not just scrolling, not just real
Yes.
habits that are gonna fill your
Make
bucket
sure
back
that
up.
I'm eating healthy and I'm drinking enough water
Are
and
you
I'm resting
exercising
and
right
I'm taking a walk and I'm getting some sunlight and I'm
as
doing all
the
those things.
as the seasons change? We
Mm-hmm.
want to be more indoors, and the days are
Yes.
shorter, and there's some seasonal depression that comes with that. Those are real. They're real biological markers. We get less sunlight, we get less exercise, we don't eat well.
Yes.
The
There's a
holidays are
lot of
increase of intake of
sugar,
calories.
calories,
We're gonna
not the healthiest
we're gonna make
stuff.
Christmas cookies in a
We
couple
are in
days,
a few days.
and it's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just live on sugar cookies
Cannot
alone.
live on sugar
Yeah.
cookies for sure.
But in that time, let's talk about um, those stressors, and they can kind of bring up some of those old pathways
Mm-hmm.
and causes us to kind of re-enter when we're in those moments of stress and kind of drawn back into some of those. Let's talk about that.
Well, you can very quickly get pulled back into old habits, old roles, old state of mind. And they say the 21-day habit takes 21 days to change
Right.
your habit just to go for a walk every day or eat healthy or drink enough water.
Yeah.
So in our brains, those same neural pathways that are not necessarily healthy pathways, but they are the things that are built in our system from conditioning and from childhood and from the things we've always said to ourselves or what someone has always said to us. We believe those, and those conditionings are very much ruts and built in. So finding a way in that 21-day to change, you have to recognize when those old habits come up. Because even in healing, you still can find yourself falling back into the rut, back
Yeah.
into the hole, back into the old thinking, back into the old habits.
And even the old identity.
For sure. I quit smoking how long ago? Forever ago. And have been so stressed out lately. I was like, man, I haven't wanted nicotine
Yeah.
in a hot minute, but like right now I could totally I feel like
Right.
it would be a reprieve.
And sometimes when you're under stress, it's like maybe you were in a season in your family, you were maybe the wild child or whatever that
Right.
was, and you automatically, it's almost like you fall back into those comfortable grooves. You said
Mm-hmm.
we get into those ruts, and that's what conditioning is. You got to think about it as those neural pathways, the ways that we think, they create those ruts, and it's so easy. As we
Mm-hmm.
heal, we gradually come out of those ruts,
Mm-hmm.
and we hopefully start to smooth out those pathways a little bit more.
So I
But we'll
saw,
never
yeah.
be able to completely erase
No,
them.
it's still there. So I saw this thing and it showed like a pathway for conditioning and thought process that has been our whole life, right? Is like this wide in our brain. So like it is firing and going at all things. And then we're trying to build a new
And this
pathway.
is the way we see the world. This is the way
Yes.
we see ourselves. The
Right.
way we process
So then
stressors.
we're trying to start building this smaller pathway that's a more healthy pathway.
Yeah,
And as this one decreases, this one will grow. But our brain will call bull crap if we try to go from I am I'm overweight, I'm unattractive, I'm right. If
sure.
that's our pathway and we want to switch to, and all of a sudden now we're just telling ourselves a great affirmation of I'm the most gorgeous person in the whole wide
Affirmation
world,
alone,
right? Without,
work,
right,
without some kind of empirical evidence for us
evidence,
to believe
right. Our
what we're
brain
saying.
says, mm-mm,
Yeah,
you're full of it, and this
right.
pathway never grows. So it says to start with the small and say, I am lovable. I
Yeah.
am attractive. Small, start small and slowly build, and this one will slowly go down. But it doesn't happen instant. It's
And it
not a. This is not going to happen
and that
anymore.
doesn't all the way disappear.
It doesn't. It's
And
you
when
can
we're
go back to that when you get stressed, get around certain people,
correct.
get. You just say it all the time when I get around my sister from Alabama that I all of a sudden have an Alabama
Yeah.
accent.
Who
Like
is this person?
who are you? You're
Who
not
are
my
you?
life.
Yeah. You
Because
don't talk like
when
this.
I'm around her, I'm just like, oh
Hey baby, how
yeah.
you doing? I'm like, who is this? I don't know this person.
But
Red Bay, Alabama.
it's just that normal. Like
And we
it's
love Red Bay.
we do. We
We
love.
love
I miss
Alabama.
my sister so much.
Yeah. But
Um,
it just like that, like just the language pattern
you're right.
that you fall into so
Fall
quickly. And
into it.
that's such a good example because it's such a
Mhm.
safe example.
Mhm.
But how many of those old pathways, and they're self-inflicted a lot of times,
They are
but I'm the black sheep, or I'm an alcoholic, or
right.
I made this mistake, or I, whatever, you fill in the blank.
Right.
And we so quickly can fall back into that groove and into that rut. And I'll never get out of this. I'll never
I'll
be
never be
lovable.
something different.
I'll never
Yeah.
be something different. When you have been, and
For right,
you've been,
healthy,
yes.
rocking it.
When you're healthy, though, what happens when you fall back in that? You can, a healthy person can have awareness and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, wait a minute, I can do that for a little bit." Like, not to get too personal, but had some real baggage that came along with an event that happened recently, and
Mhm.
I had a moment, probably 20 minutes or so, where I had these really strong emotions,
Right.
negative emotions
Right.
that caused me to really feel guilty and shame, not about anything that I've done, but just about being alive and being healthy.
Yeah.
And we kind of walked through that together, and you were like, no, it's okay. And even while we're filming this, there's some really heavy things that I was like, this is what it is.
Mhm.
Can't change it.
Right.
I wish it was different. And we're going to make decisions going forward. And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish it wasn't hard around the holidays. I wish that it was, and we can, I
Yeah.
wish, or it should be, it should be, it should be, and avoid what is and what can we do about it now.
Mhm.
And that's very, very difficult. But when we're healing, we don't just erase that conditioning, but we do have a heightened awareness of that conditioning, and we
Mhm.
become aware that no, this is just a response.
It is.
This is just an easy pathway for me.
Mhm.
This is my this is a default mode, a
Mhm.
way of thinking that isn't healthy and good for me.
Right.
Um, you lost a son, and we can take that
Mhm.
shame and blame, and if I would have, if I could have,
Right.
if I should have.
If I'd known sooner, if I'd
Right.
done
Like
something different.
somehow we can cosmically wrestle, cancer,
Yeah.
and we have some kind of power to stop it
To
or
change
to
it,
change it, or
to
and we
heal
live.
it.
I'm the same with my mother. If I should have, could have, would have, maybe
Mhm.
this would have happened differently.
Yeah.
Like somehow I am in control of everything,
Right.
or I somehow am the center of the universe, and I'm supposed to carry it on my shoulders. And we can fall back into that pathway so fast,
Mhm.
and then we lose all perspective.
All.
We lose all ability to see things as they really are,
Mm-hmm.
and then we lose all ability to have gratitude for the
Mm-hmm.
time. I mean, the chances that we're even on this spinning rock in the middle of this great galaxy, the chances that we're even here
Here is pretty
is
small.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that we're even here. It's a
Right.
miracle that we even get to be born on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we won't be in this form anymore, on to the next. And that's all a miracle.
Yeah.
And instead of being grateful for that, we'll fall back into those patterns if we're not careful
If we're not careful.
and we're not healing,
Mm-hmm.
especially if we're tired, we're stressed, and we're not taking care of ourselves. The easiest way for us to go is back in the default mode.
Mm-hmm.
What is the easiest? Even as we get
We
healthier,
change the pathways.
we
It's
can
still
go,
there.
well, this is where I know. This is
It's
how
comfort. There's
yeah,
comfort in the pain. There's
yeah,
comfort in
because this
the
is what you
shame and
know.
the pain of
Yeah.
what you know. It's
There's a
very true.
there's a miracle where in the Gospels where Jesus calls a lame man, and there's a detail of that a beggar and identified with his illness, and he leaves his he leaves his mat, he leaves basically his bed,
Mm-hmm.
and goes to Jesus. Like there's a symbolic like disassociation from who I used to be, and it's scary to become someone new
Mm-hmm.
because that's you don't know those pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming healthy sometimes is scary
Mm-hmm.
because it's easier for you to identify with being I'm
What
the
you've always
alcoholic.
been.
Yeah, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
I'm the black sheep. I'm the whatever that is. So just know that as you are making progress, you can you can feel those emotions. You can even start to think that way,
Mm-hmm.
but you can also gradually say no, this isn't truth, and reassess. So
Right.
let's talk about a reframing our faith. Let's talk about instead of control, let's talk about presence.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing is when people are going through a sickness
Mm-hmm.
or they're going through an unexpected tragedy
Mm-hmm.
during the seasons, as nurses, as caregivers, as people of faith, we have really complicated responses to that, don't we? Like really complicated
We
responses.
do. We do. I think it's very easy to um, find blame and shame
Yeah.
in it. I've through all of the family members and the all the things that I've witnessed at being a nurse, and then the things that I've witnessed in my own personal life, we can accept responsibility for a lot of things that we have absolutely no control over.
And it puts us in an odd position as people of faith. It puts us in a really odd position with our relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. I was very angry with
Yeah.
God for a very long time after Jordan passed.
And I think because we feel like we have to frame it
Mm-hmm.
in the context of this is God's plan, or because we have come with the belief that God is omnipresent,
Mm-hmm.
He is all present, all knowing, and all
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Therefore, He had this plan,
Right. How did
and
this happen? If he's
and
all the things,
right.
how did this happen
So it
to
has to
my?
be His
So it
plan.
has to be his plan in
Has to
order
be
for it to
His
be.
plan. It has to
Right.
be God. He's testing me, or
Right.
I'm Job, and He's and Jesus offers us this really beautiful insight into if we being evil as fathers, talk about fathers, if we being evil, meaning we're not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and we love to give good gifts to our children,
Right.
how much more does our heavenly Father, right, love
Mm-hmm.
to give good gifts to us? And then James talks about how that God doesn't tempt us with evil,
Mm-hmm.
and that all good things come down from the Father of light.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have to wrestle with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not giving anyone like a clear cut answer, but I think sometimes we give these quick responses because we feel like we have to have an answer. We feel like we have to give, because we're a person of faith, and we have to have answers to everything. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's beyond us. And I love this. This is something I'm writing and working through. But people will say that, like, hey, this is God's plan. And I'm going to read a little bit here just to give some context. But that explanation actually causes a lot of times more harm than good, because if you play that out and you say, okay, well, this sickness is God's testing, or it's and I don't mean this as an offense to anyone, and if this is too much for you, please understand, you work out your own salvation with
For
fear and
sure.
trembling,
For
right?
sure.
But in the context of what that looks like, if you follow that logic out, well, then it's God's plan for the child in Gaza to be blown apart, and a father going through
Mm-hmm.
the rubble and finding their child. That's somehow God's testing, or a family in Ukraine that is killed, or the genocide that rises up, the
The
industrial
child
military
who's
complex.
shaken to death. I mean,
Right.
we don't even have to go around the
There's
globe.
so
Like
much.
shaken baby
Sure.
syndrome, people that are children that are sexually and physically abused by not by the hand of their parent, but by
Right.
someone that has access to them. All of
So
those things, like
when we're in the context of saying, somehow that God is this kind of mastermind and writing all this for us, it's very difficult, because it doesn't line up with what Jesus was saying, and even what Jesus' brother James, when he writes his epistle, it doesn't line up with that. Because if you look into early church mystics and church Christian mystics in the early centuries, like the 4th century, some of the desert fathers, they really wrestled with God, and allowing suffering and what that looked like. And if you look at Jesus' description of God, you see this different, um, even scope of than what we grew up with. And for many Christians, there is a difficulty in understanding God, rather than as a mystic. And a mystic simply means you can be a person that experiences God.
mhm.
That's really what it is. A Christian mystic is just saying, I can experience God.
What is
And
that? I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. What does that
so
mean? You can
instead of just
experience God.
knowing God through theology,
Mm,
you can experience God in creation.
gotcha. Okay, got
So
it.
that's probably the simplest way to
Okay,
explain it. If you can feel God in a forest, you're probably a Christian mystic.
gotcha.
So,
So
um,
that's us.
right.
Okay.
So a Christian mystic, and many of the early church fathers tended to be mystics,
Mhm.
in that they understood that God was not this, and I don't mean this in offense, but it wasn't like this cosmic puppeteer that was like controlling every circumstance, but that God in his love had offered complete freedom to creation.
Mhm.
But creation is fractured through sin. But as a loving father, he's given us complete freedom in this creation, and that he is always working and always present, not writing all of it and saying, well, you get cancer and you don't,
Mhm.
right? This baby gets to live and this one doesn't.
Mhm.
But that complete freedom is in this fragile world. So it is a world of both fragility and freedom.
Right.
And that love is given to us and expressed to us. And that's very difficult for us to understand. But think of like a parent as a child ages.
Mhm.
We're there where we love them, but they're
They're figuring it out.
it's creation is not complete yet. Mystics believe it's still in progress.
Mhm.
And in progress, the Holy Spirit is still working, not outside of that, controlling all of it, but through it, working through it. In fact, Romans says that all creation is groaning, and the Holy Spirit in us is groaning, looking for that day when all the fullness comes and all the healing comes. It's looking
Mm.
for that day. So the mystic believes that God is present now, and understand that God is love itself, that it is present, and it's a transforming presence within the world. And love doesn't cause suffering. Love doesn't cause violence. Love doesn't need tragedy to teach a lesson. I
Mhm.
know we're going pretty deep right now, but that's okay, because suffering is real and it's tragic, and it comes from, again, that world that's marked by both freedom and being fragile. So it's not from God's desire.
Mm-hmm.
If you see God from that mystic perspective, you see that God is never absent from it, but through his Spirit, his Holy Spirit, he is present in every moment, grieving with us. Scripture tells that. Is sustaining us and working towards healing and restoration in those moments. Like constantly present for us if we acknowledge, and that love is always there. The divine is always present
Mm-hmm.
for those moments. So that's why the cross matters.
That is very different to see
It
it that
is.
way than it is to be like he's omnipresent and he's the one, and he's the planner and he's the maker and he's the doer and he's the, to see it as he is present, but for him to be present in that fashion
Right.
and not this, what do they say, the kid with a magnifying glass,
Sure.
you know?
Sure. Because it's really hard, because if you follow that logic out, it gets really messy really fast. And you
Mm-hmm.
lose, well, how could, that's where you wind up with, how can a loving God allow this to happen to good
Right.
people? And
Well, and I think that's why I was angry when Jordan got sick, because
absolutely.
Jordan had cancer and there was this other gentleman in church that was 30s, 40s, maybe 40s, mid 40s,
Right.
and he had cancer and Jordan had cancer at the same time. And I remember going to church one Sunday and he got a great report. The guy did a scan and it was gone. And
Sure.
he was in complete remission. He was healed. And 2 weeks later, we buried Jordan. And I
Right.
remember being like, well, wait a minute. Why? Who, why did you choose him? And why did Jordan not get healed? And why, why are we walking this? Why did the 11-year-old not get reprieve? What did he ever done
And in
to
response,
be,
it'll be, well, God is testing your faith, or
mm,
God is, this is God's plan, and whatever his plan is. And a mystic will say, it's not God using suffering to teach us a lesson. It's God attempting through love to be present with us, even in the groaning and the suffering, and that his creation is not done yet, and our soul is still in progress towards. It is always an opportunity for us to grow closer to him and more in love. So that brings us to a moment where we're more present. Like
mm-hmm,
every moment, it's a good, every good thing comes down from the Father of light.
mm-hmm,
Like to where every minute that we have, every song that we sing, every memory that is made, all of that is meaningful, and it is truly the divine.
yeah,
The cross is a great example. It's not an example from far away, right? God didn't explain suffering from a distance, but he actually enters creation through suffering.
mm,
So God entered creation through suffering in the ultimate way on the cross.
mm-hmm,
Jesus is not absent from suffering. God is not absent from Jesus. When he said, "Why have you forsaken me?" That's just him singing the Psalm of the cross. It's
yeah,
in the Psalms, the book of the Psalms.
mm-hmm,
And this is God entering in. Jesus wept, he suffered, he died. All of that is so that God could come near to us. And that's a whole different way of looking at it.
it
And it's
is.
a whole different way of wrestling with it, because it's still not a clean cut answer, and it's
No,
not
it's
easy,
not.
but it gives us an opportunity to lament with someone and suffer with them and cry with them and bear their
Yeah,
burden, so fulfilling the law of Christ.
mm-hmm,
Christ is in creation, groaning and weeping and drawing us to him
mm,
through suffering. Instead of writing and saying, well, Angelica, you need to learn a lesson. Let me show you how, and I'm going to give you
right,
XYZ to deal with.
yeah,
He can use it in those moments, and he can redeem it.
mm,
And that's difficult,
it is.
because we say, instead of saying, God, why are you allowing this to happen? It's like, what can I learn in this
Mm-hmm,
while it's happening? And that's a much different. So instead of saying this is God's plan or whatever, it's more faithful to us to respond that God didn't cause this, but God is with us,
right,
and love actually will have the final word. So that's a big deal. That's
for
a
sure.
big deal.
Well, and we have this down too. It says love doesn't control outcomes. Love stays present.
Yeah.
And when you think of Father God as love, the ultimate
Ultimate.
divine love.
Ultimate. The moments that you share together, that is God right there. the love that's given. It's God right there.
Mhm.
Just saw the tragedy that happened with a shooting of the beginning of Jewish of Hanukkah and in Sydney, and then seeing a Muslim brother walk up to a Jewish rabbi and they hugged each other and embraced and wept. God is right there in the middle of that.
Right.
Besides all the doctrinal differences and religious differences, a mystic would look at that and say, that is God. God is there.
Right.
God is love. That's God entering through creation right there,
Mhm.
because we have given him an opportunity to do so. Because he
That's
turned it over
beautiful.
to us, and then we say in the suffering, we turn it back over to him. That's a lot. Sorry,
It
that
is
was a
a
lot.
lot. No, I think it's wonderful, and I think it's great, and I think we all need that, especially people that have sick family members and things that don't make sense, and you're grieving, and you're trying to make sense. As humans, we want to make logical sense. We need the 1 + 1 = 2. We
Yeah,
want an answer. We want to understand, and a lot of times that doesn't come. It comes with
guilt.
time.
Right,
Time can give you some solace in your grief and in your suffering, but it doesn't take it away.
right. And we operate in guilt and shame and
Mm-hmm.
coulda, shoulda, woulda, and did I do something wrong? Is
Right.
God punishing me or whatever that is? So instead of that, those moments when you hold a hand, when you as a nurse, when you're caring for someone and you
Right.
just feel, you get
Oh,
the moment, you just feel that moment of love towards, that's God entering in that moment
right.
that we don't deserve.
Right.
We
Well, and
didn't
I
do
started
anything.
I, I started a new job, but I'm still PRNing at the old place. And when I went in, because I'd taken, we'd taken some time to deal
Yeah.
with our family situations, and so when I had gone back after not being there for a few days, some of my little patients, I mean, I had a train of people behind me,
Yeah.
like, where have you been? Like, so upset with me because I had been gone. And oh my gosh, I mean, a couple of my little ladies that they're not fully
Cognitive.
cognitive,
Yeah.
but when one of them had me by the hand and the other one had me by the waist, and it was no getting away from them. Like, they needed me to be present with them, and it was just because I take the time to love on them and smile with them and laugh with them. And
But you understand that you taking the time to do those things is taking the time to let God invade that space, so it becomes holy,
yeah.
it becomes sacred. And that is the redemptive power that in the face of tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
that regardless of what the season brings, there can still be sacred spaces
There
created.
can. There can. With and
Yep.
without a ton of tree gifts,
Yeah.
things
a
under the
hundred
tree.
percent.
With and without that, we can still have those moments and
And it's
those really
okay for
beautiful things.
you to be human during this season.
It is.
It's okay for you to breathe. It's okay for you to take time. Maybe you don't get to be in a traditional service, or maybe you don't get to be in all the most ideal Christmas settings, but you can still have the joy of the season in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of suffering.
You can.
And it's not easy. We're not telling you it's easy, or
No.
we're not trying to tell ourselves it's, trick ourselves and
Yeah.
tell ourselves just something that our bodies and our minds don't align. Say, nah,
No, no, no,
mm,
no.
we call BS on that.
Right.
But you can actually follow through with being present and realizing that any moment of love that's shared can be a moment of sacred.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Well, and guys, so thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this helps you in your season of the holidays and being caregivers and nurses and families just walking
Families.
through hard
Absolutely.
seasons. We're here with you. We love for you to drop comments, become part of the conversation, join the community, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, y'all. Thank you, and have a great rest of your week.
Yes.
And may you have peace during this holiday.